Welcome back to L5 Star FC. Normal settings, traditional settings. I'm at a different place today, but doesn't stop there. The content still comes out on the channel for you. I'm delighted I've got Salah to my side as we're going to go over the Chelsea game. And what an entertaining game for the neutral, but very controversial also. And if you want to look at it from Liverpool and Chelsea's perspective, I'm sure we have two different opinions. Now, Salah, what are your overall thoughts? The game did finish 1-1. Let's just give a quick little recap. Salah obviously scored a goal from a penalty after a Havertz header at the Kop end. Scored a lot of controversial decisions behind the penalty. It was for a handball on the goal line, and which seen Reece James red carded and Salah to convert the penalty. But we'll get into your overall thoughts on the performance from Liverpool going into this game, and what are your overall thoughts now going forward after a busy 3 games for Liverpool?
Yeah, I think going into this game, I think the main rule was that whoever won this game would be in the driving seat in the title race. But none of the teams got the 3 points. But I didn't watch the first opening 20 minutes, but from what I could tell, I spoke to a few Chelsea fans. They said they feel that they should have scored at least 2 chances on that first opening 20 minutes. They had a lot of chances to score. I can't really say a lot. I did know Henderson missed a chance. Hopefully, I don't even know. I think it's best if you talk about that. It's because I didn't watch the first opening 20 minutes.
Yeah. Henderson had a chance. It was a ball that come in, and he mishit it. He did. It come through. If he had connected with it properly, we know it. Mendy would have been in trouble. And we had a few chances. Chelsea had very little, and this levels to this game. And when you put a striker like Lukaku up against Pablo Mari, and then the next week you put him up against Virgil van Dijk, there's levels, and all this hype about this Van Dijk Lukaku stuff. What are your thoughts on that? Obviously, Lukaku, for me, got put in a spliff yesterday. But what are your overall thoughts on the Van Dijk and Lukaku? I thought Lukaku was dead.
But this was Virgil van Dijk when he got home, yeah? Getting all his keys out. You just see Romelu Lukaku in his back pocket right there. It's all the way back there. That's where he was. Lukaku got pocketed yesterday, man. Even Matip had him on ropes. Lukaku was silent. Fam, that guy tackled himself. That guy tried dribbling and he fell over the ball. Fam, he's a good player, yeah. But the way Chelsea fans were hyping him up, it's only right we slag him off because Virgil van Dijk and Matip absolutely kept him quiet.
Yeah, exactly. And we kept him quiet for a large part of that game. He had 1 chance, I think it was. We limited him to 1 chance. And we all know how clinical he is in front of goal. And to limit him to only 1 chance shows that we did our job to a T. And obviously, we'll go straight into that Havertz goal. Obviously, Liverpool started on the front foot in the first 20 minutes. And, Chelsea started to neutralise it, slow the game down. I thought Jorginho was having a decent game that first half. I felt he was frustrating that Liverpool midfield. And, obviously Havertz got that goal in the Kop end. It was a freak goal, but what a header it was. What are your overall thoughts when we went 1-0 down? Obviously conceding the first goal of the season for the Reds. And how do you think that do you think that we should have done better on that situation? Obviously, it's a set piece goal. No team likes to concede set piece goals, but what are your overall thoughts on that goal? Because it was a very well taken finish by Kai Havertz.
Yeah, I think it was Harvey Elliot there that was supposed to be on that front post and he just came off. But I think he has to be there. But again, he's so young, so he's only going to start learning these things by experience. It's like he's had this mistake now, but Klopp will 100% tell him in the future you can't do that. But I think the goal was just so unlucky because the cross is so high and Kai Havertz is so tall with good leap. It just hits his back of his head and he just loops in. And kind of feel sorry for Alisson because he doesn't know if he's gonna head it with his side of his head. It's gonna go side to him, although it hits his back of the head and loops. So it was pretty unlucky. But I think in regards to Jorginho, I think Firmino was absolutely great. And I think not in the terms of passing and creating, but I think in terms of pressing Jorginho, I think we had Jorginho and ropes when Firmino was on that pitch, and that's the main thing about Chelsea. You have to keep their midfielders quiet because they create through their midfielders. They're not like a Nuno who plays a five at the back, but their wing backs create. Their midfielders create. And when we were pressing Jorginho, I think Chelsea didn't have a lot of chances. They didn't get their chance on a break because Firmino was quickly closing down Jorginho.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Firmino's work on and off the ball for the time that he was on the football pitch. Now, we know that he obviously picked up an injury, which we will come to later. But I think Firmino, his work on and off the ball, it isn't spoken about enough. And I think yesterday was a perfect display. Pressing down, really nipping in, intercepting, doing all his off the ball stuff, and being that silent man when it comes to us going forward as well. But obviously, I want to raise the question to you. Do you think Klopp made the mistake yesterday in playing a 4-2-3-1? Obviously, he started playing that formation, and obviously we'll come to that in a second. But the first question is, when that midfield three that we usually play, do you think that we should have started Fabinho, Henderson and Keita to try and press Jorginho, or do you think we should have started Thiago to try and control the game? Because I think if we had started Keita, which I think would have been the better option, I think we would have took Jorginho out of the game, because that's what Naby Keita does. Whereas if you start at Thiago, which was more likely to happen, then you're seeing more of a controlled performance, dictating it by your own play. And obviously, we'll come to you on that 4-2-3-1. Do you think that this will be a good idea for the future? Obviously, we've seen Harvey Elliot being utilised in that formation. Or do you think that we should stick to the accustomed 4-3-3?
No, I think it's good to try other options, but I think what Klopp is trying to do, and I was talking to a few Liverpool fans, he's trying to play that Guardiola inverted fullback. It's like against Burnley is the ball that Virgil played. Elliot was wide, he was wide, and then he had Salah as the inside forward who went out to try drag Tarkowski out of position, which worked. And he had Trent Alexander-Arnold, like Cancelo, just in that pocket of space, ready to tip over a ball. And then there you go, Mane was there. I think that's a lot why our right side was getting a lot of the ball. It's because I think that's what we were trying to do in the 4-2-3-1 formation, where you saw Harvey Elliott wide, and then you saw Trent coming in a little bit in the midfield. But I think time will tell if this is going to work. But in terms of starting Keita should have started 100% in my opinion. I think he played absolutely brilliant against Norwich, played absolutely brilliant against Burnley. It was only right he deserved to start this game against Chelsea. I don't think Harvey Elliott had a bad game, but I think in terms of pressing, I don't think at the start of the game, he didn't press Jorginho that good. He didn't even press him that good later on in the game. Whereas I think Keita, he's good at pressing. He's very, very good at dribbling. He knows how to beat. He's one of the most press-resistant midfielders I've ever seen. And like, you can call me deluded or anything, but he's unbelievable at breaking press and Naby Keita, honestly. So I think it was undeserved for him to get dropped yesterday. In regards to Thiago, I think Thiago wasn't fit, but one problem I had yesterday was Klopp brought on Thiago so late. So I think he brought him around that 75th minute. He should have brought Thiago on in the 60th minute. That game was crying out for Thiago so much earlier. Whether it was for Elliot, whether it was for Henderson, Thiago should have come on earlier. And that's the one thing we're starting to see in Klopp's in-game management, that he's bringing on players late, that he's not bringing the right players on or bringing the right players off. So I think it's a bit of a blow, get me.
Yeah, I get you 100%. I think, you mentioned that point there, Klopp's in-game management. And I think, he has done that for the past, you can even look back to last season, he was doing it a little bit then, where he should have brought that impact player on slightly earlier. And like you said, I think Thiago was crying out for that game towards the 60th minute, where I felt that, there was that slight drop off in intensity. But
because like in the first, sorry to interrupt you, the first 5 minutes of the half, we absolutely dominated them. Until the 60th minute, we dominated them. As soon as the 55th minute came, he should have brought Thiago, and he should have had the balls to bring on Thiago. That Chelsea are under pressure. Chelsea are open. Who's the guy that finds space? Who's the guy that's the only deep line playmaker? Who's the guy that has the best passing ability in the squad? Thiago Alcantara. He should have brought him on then, and that was a big mistake by Klopp.
I 100% agree. I think he should have definitely bought Thiago to keep that consistency and maintain that through the half. And look, we were testing the waters. We were testing the keeper on numerous occasions. But when you have 8 players in the box and an above-average goalkeeper, it's going to prove very difficult for you to break past him. But obviously, we'll go back to the issue that stemmed from that, the Reece James red card, the penalty shout. First of all, I think it was a penalty. And obviously the red card was given to coincide with the rules because that's what I'd rather the referee stick to the letter of the law than be inconsistent and go off what they think in that current moment, because it's so unfair when you have referees who have different perceptions of different incidents. So I think doing it by the letter of the law is right. However, was this a situation where it was worthy of a red card? Do you think that rule needs to be changed in order for the referees to follow that rule? So do you think it was a penalty, and do you think it was a red card inconclusive in consequence of that?
100% you're deluded if you don't think that's a pen. I think as soon as I saw the replay, I knew it was a pen. I didn't know why he needed to go to the monitor. He should have known it was a pen. But I think as soon as he came up the monitor, he got his pocket out. I was like, why is he getting his red card out? I was confused, to be honest. But I think looking at the rules, do you know why? It's because Reece James, if he had kept his arm still, number one, it would have not been a pen. And number two, he would have not got a red card. It's because, do you know why he was moving to block? His arm was moving around the place, and then the ball just is arm, which was unlucky. But I think, that's a red and that's a pen.
Yeah, I think obviously that penalty, I think it should have stood because there's obviously this argument. Look, it comes off the player's leg, but at the same time, if it comes off the player's leg and his arm's
still moving,
it's a goal if his arm isn't there, and all this notion that his arm was in a natural position. If you're telling me that that's a natural position, I don't know what is a natural position, to be fair. But I thought when he pulled out the red card, I thought he'd said something to the ref, because I was struggling to find answers to why he'd been sent off, because we haven't really seen that before. Salah obviously converted the spot. Hendo's getting in Mendy's face. It was a very intense game for many reasons, because Liverpool were getting on top. The fans were getting on top of Chelsea in different aspects. And obviously, we took the point at the end of the day. But how do you see this result? Obviously, is it 2 points lost or 1 point gained? How do you view this result as a whole? And do you think that we can take positives from this? Or do you think overall it has a negative outlook on how the game unfolded?
2 points lost, man. We should have won that game. We played very good in the first opening 20 minutes of the second half. We had some chances that we should have converted, especially a shot header. So, but I think, again, I was talking about it to a few Chelsea fans, Liverpool fans yesterday. I think it would have been better for us, for Reece James, not to get a red. It would have been better if Chelsea had 11 men on the pitch. Well, you may call me deluded for that, because you may say, Salah, there's 10 to 11. Surely Liverpool dominate them. But no, the reason this is because that meant Chelsea had to get all their defenders back behind the ball. And we know when a team gets behind the ball, for us, it's so hard to break down. It's literally, we've seen it in the past, which is why it cost us the title 2 years ago when we got 7 draws, is these teams that we struggle to break down. And yesterday, again, when Jota came on for Firmino, that was our trump card gone for an impact sub later on in the game. Mane, oh my God, Mane, fam. We're going to talk that on player ratings. I ain't going to discuss about him now. But if Klopp had another attacker, he should have brought him on for Mane. Again, I don't get this year. I know this is for another video. But if you're calling Oxlade-Chamberlain a player with dynamism, if you're saying Origi's a game changer, number one, why isn't Origi on the bench? Number two, why are you not bringing on your most dynamism player, not Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain? It doesn't make sense. That game was crying out for another attacker by the 60th minute. Because let's be honest, Sadio Mani was poor. I think he had a good game against Burnley, but Sadio Mani was poor because he was just running in and he never found space. It was the same old shit that he went through last season. He's got the fans back now. We just have to hope that he gets back to his best, man, honestly. But I think, again, we were better off if Reece James stayed in the pitch, because I think Chelsea still would have been attacking with their fullbacks. There still would have been space left behind. So I think we would have probably got a few clear-cut chances instead of a few long shots. But again, that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think we would have definitely had more chances, and it would have been more clear-cut if if that red card had never happened. However, you could reverse the roles and Chelsea would have had more opportunities on goal. We would have been a bit more open at the back as well. And is all that to play into part? Look, it's all hypothetical. We got the draw at the end of the day. And look, as much as I obviously, like you said, it's 2 points lost. I think I'm going to take the very few minority that believe that this was a point gained. I think it was a point gained for the Reds, because I feel we could have won the game. We should have won the game. However, if you said to me before the game that you were the only team at the end of the day showing fight, because I don't think Chelsea showed fight in towards that second
They
half.
were just hanging on for their lives.
If you're European champions, you've got 10 men. I don't care what the situation is. You play to win. There is no excuse for European champions to sit behind the ball. I don't care about this whole defensive brand of formation. I don't want to be salty, but at the end of the day, if you're gonna have that mentality, you are not worthy of European champions. And if you think for 1 second that this team is going to win the league, this Chelsea team will win the league. Yes, they have the potential to win the league, but do teams that win the league play to win regardless of the circumstances? Yes, they do. Did Chelsea play to win that game? No, they did not. And look, if that happened with 10 minutes to play and they popped all men behind the ball, I can sort of settle with that. But the fact they did it for the whole half, they went total Burnley mode. It was so frustrating.
It was so annoying.
It was so frustrating, man. But I'm going to take a point because I feel like as much as that's, this sort of game was an opportunity to get a marker down, I do feel that if any team's benefited, I think Liverpool will benefit more from this, because they were the only team at the end of the day showing real grit, fight, intensity towards the end. Player ratings. It won't be long, but smash that like button if you do enjoy the video and you do agree. Please drop your player ratings to the players that played yesterday in Liverpool. Please note that we won't do any subs. However, we will do the starting 11. So we'll start with the goalkeeper, Salah. I'll start. I think Alisson didn't have much to really do in that game, but I think when he was called upon, he did his job. However, he did concede that goal, but I think no keeper in the world would have saved that header. The loop on it, I think that his positioning was all right. He was sound, but I think it was just the fact of the freak goal, which is why I'm going to give him. Look, I don't think we're going to give Alisson a 7 out of 10, considering he didn't keep a clean sheet. However, I'm going to give him a 6.5. I think that was worthy of Alisson. He did more than average, and we can't ask for anything more than just doing your job. But what would you say for Alisson?
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 6.5 as well. I think, again, no keeper in the world saves that unless you're an octopus or someone. But yeah, I think he was good in what he did, commanding his area, coming out of his box a few times. Yeah, 6.5 is fair.
Yeah, fair enough. And we will move on to the back four. Now, we know that Robertson started this game, and I think that, it was a very decent game for Robbo, going up that flank for the first 60 minutes. You could sense that sort of drop-off from Robbo. I think it was more prevalent in him. Obviously, we know he had that ankle ligament injury not long ago, and to see him back on a football pitch in such a short space of time, you just got to credit the medics and the recovery team, and Robbo himself obviously putting in the work off the field to make sure he gets back on it as soon as possible. And I think his performance probably is worthy of a 6 out of 10. I think he was one of the more one of the players that dropped off the quickest, but that's understandable with the injury. So I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. I think that's fair enough, but I don't think he trumps the goalkeeper. So I'm going to say 6 out of 10. What are you saying for Robbo?
I don't think he was at his best yesterday. That's, if I'm being honest. I love the guy to pieces. He's an absolutely great player. But going forward, he was absolutely awful. His crossing goes off. I think his link-up plays, interplay was good. But I think in terms of crossing and in terms of attacking, like in general, I don't think he was good. I think you can tell he got a bit lethargic. He was a bit sluggish, just like Henderson was. I think he wasn't fit. I think a lot of people did say, I think you did say as well, Tsimikas should have started. And I think it was right, Tsimikas should have started, in my opinion. But I'm going to give him 5.
Yeah, should we compromise and we'll go for a 5.5 for Andrew Robertson? And the centre-half partnership, for me, I felt was one of the strongest areas of the football pitch. Van Dijk, Lukaku, all this a debate. Van Dijk mashed up. For me, I'm going to put Van Dijk an 8.5 out of 10 to handle a player like Lukaku, a player of his stature, and to handle all the hype around this game and that specific rivalry. I think he did a very good job. He got called upon many times, and every time he did, he was very good, which is why I'm going to give him an 8.5. And we'll come to you on Matip first. What is your play ratings for Joelle Matip? I thought he was another standout player for Liverpool yesterday.
I think he was good. I think near the start of the game, a lot of people said that he wasn't that good. He was a bit topsy-turvy. His head wasn't in the game. But I think after that, I think he was absolutely excellent. I think in whatever he did, blocking play, winning interceptions, winning his aerial duels, barging Lukaku off the ball, he was absolutely great. I'm gonna give him an 8.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And what are your thoughts for Van Dijk? What are your players?
He's a Rolls Royce. He's absolutely great. I think he had his ACL injury, but he's come back, and I don't want to jinx it, but it seems like he was never injured. He seems absolutely fantastic, and everything he did. And all you little scummy childish fans can say, "Oh, Lukaku dropped Van Dijk and all that." He cleared the ball after that. He had Lukaku every time Lukaku came near Van Dijk, Lukaku didn't go nowhere. Okay, them two didn't match up as often as Matip and Lukaku did. But whenever Van Dijk and Lukaku came up against each other, there was only one winner, and that was Virgil van Dijk. So I'm gonna give him an 8.5.
Yeah, 8.5 is a very fair assessment. I agree with you. And obviously, the fact that he's been out for so long to come back in the way he has done, you've just got to credit, like I said before, the medics and Virgil himself. And I think it probably will take one more game week before he's 100% in Virgil van Dijk in the peak of his powers once again. But I think 8.5 is a fair assessment. And for Joel Matip, I think I'm going to give him a 9. I think although people will say Van Dijk was probably better than Matip, I think Matip was specifically good yesterday because I think a lot of people were directing Lukaku to try and go for Van Dijk, and then people say maybe you want to go for the weaker link in Joel Matip. But then Joel Matip, I think possibly Lukaku found it harder against Joel Matip because he's so lanky that when you give Lukaku that space, I think that suited Joel a bit better because he could get his long legs around every time the ball came to him and just nip the ball away. That's one of Joel Matip's biggest strengths. And I think for Joel to stand off him shows real composure and shows real experience and shows a massive elevation in his game since going alongside Virgil van Dijk. And I think if Joel Matip played Van Dijk on if Joel Matip played Van Dijk so close, if Joel Matip played Romelu Lukaku so close, Lukaku would have just rolled him like he just rolls a spliff. But I'm going to say Joe Matip got a 9 because I think he exceeded his expectations. The midfield 2, Fabinho and Jordan Henderson. I'm going to say Fabinho. I'm going to say Fabinho got worthy of a 8 out of 10. I think Fabinho was particularly good. I think he was very good on the day, which is why I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Salah's just gone off a minute, so I'll just go to Hendo. And I think Hendo had a very good game. I think he had a super game, which is why I'm going to give Henderson a 9 out of 10. So, yeah, that's my midfield. But we'll obviously go to Trent Alexander-Arnold when Salah comes back on. But what is key to see is whether we should change from a 4-2-3-1 back to a 4-3-3, because I think this game was calling out for a 4-3-3, because I think going into the game, if we had started the likes of Naby Keita, we would have dictated the game because we would have took Jorginho out of the game. However, starting Thiago was a better possibility because Thiago can control the game for Liverpool. But I felt for this game in particular, for the form that Naby Keita was in, I think Naby Keita shouldn't have started. And obviously you will see that on our instant match reaction. And please know, while I'm still waiting for Salah, we have got a massive live show for you guys tomorrow. We are welcoming Don Hussam. This is football. You may have seen him before. He's racing towards 1K on YouTube. He's absolutely smashing it, and he will be joining us at 6 p.m. British time tomorrow to discuss a little bit on Liverpool, Chelsea, and a little bit on the transfer news as it is hyping up towards the end of the window. We do have Salah back, but what are you saying, Salah, for Trent Alexander-Arnold? Obviously, I did cover the midfield too. We will come to that once you give Trent Alexander-Arnold a rating.
I think it wasn't one of his best performances, but I think it was good. I think he put in a few very, very good crosses, especially putting a cross for Diogo Jota. He was unlucky to convert that, but I think I'm going to give him a 7.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And what's your overall assessment for the midfield too?
For the midfield too, Henderson and Fabinho. I think Henderson was a bit sluggish. I don't think he's proper 100% match fit yet. It's because I think when he started the game, I love Jordan Henderson, and into the build up of this game, when people were saying Keita, Fabinho, and Thiago, I said no, you have to have Henderson in that midfield. Henderson's absolutely crucial. But on Saturday, I just didn't see it. I think he was a bit sluggish in his performance. He wasn't like he always is, full of intensity, full of pressing, full of shouting and all that. I don't think he was at that yesterday. So I think I'm just going to give him a 6.
That's fair enough. And what about Fabinho? How do you rate his assessment and assess his performance yesterday?
Bro, I'm telling you, we have the best 6 in the world. We have the best DM in the world. That guy's absolutely great. I think in what he does, the way he tackles, the way he breaks up opposition play, it's absolutely perfect. I think he's such a good player, and like to play like that after the death of your father in such a big game, I think there's of course going to be a big knockoff in his mentality, but I think it didn't show because he was absolutely great against Chelsea on Saturday.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to give him a 8.
Go on. 8 out of 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough, mate. I think, I agree with you on Fabinho. I think Henderson, though, I felt Henderson had a good game. I think he was getting on a lot of chances in that first half in particularly. He was probably one of the more prevalent players that dropped off alongside Andrew Robertson, but I feel Hendo showed very promising signs, and he's got that leader, he's got that presence, he's that jigsaw piece. And I'm not sure if that was because you obviously missed a bit of the first half, but I think he started very bright and then dropped off towards the second half. I think that was very key to see. But obviously we'll move on to the attacking 3. Obviously Harvey Elliot, 3rd appearance, 2nd start for Liverpool. How do you rate his game yesterday? Obviously got man of the match by Sky Sports. No, he didn't get man of the match by Sky Sports, but he was in contention for man of the match. Very good game. I think, obviously, the pressing that you mentioned on the instant match reaction was probably one of his weaknesses, which is why I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. I still think for Harvey Elliott, 8.5 for me. I think still for Harvey Elliott, I think that was a very good performance for his standards. And if he continues at the trajectory that he's improving at, keeps his head down, keeps working hard, I think he'll become a super player. But what are your thoughts on Harvey Elliott?
I think for an 18-year-old to be performing like that and on probably your biggest game of your career, it's absolutely great. I think he played so good. I think his first touch was very good. Playing the ball at the right time, very good. Picking out the right pass, very, very good. He wasn't afraid to take on players. He wasn't afraid to take on Alonso. He wasn't afraid to take on Jorginho or Kante in the first half. He was a player with something to prove. And I think even though Klopp did get the decision wrong to play him, I think he showed us what he's made of. And I think with just a few more games and a year of development, this guy is going to be a serious talent. I am so excited for the future of Harvey Elliott, but I'm going to give him an 8.5 as well.
8.5, yeah, that's a fair assessment. And we will move on to the opposing side, Sadio Mane. What are your thoughts on Sadio Mane? Obviously, you said that you didn't feel that his performance was on par. I agree. I think Sadio Mane, obviously, we don't want to jump the gun, and this is only one game that he's played poor this season. However, I think for Mane, I think 4.5, I think was fair enough for Sadio Mane. But what is your overall thoughts on him?
Bro, this guy needs to pan. This guy needs to pan up because this guy played decent against Burnley, got that goal. But I'm telling you, if that guy hadn't got that goal in it, trust me, the amount of people that would have been saying it right now in it, I wouldn't say he was bad, but that's not a good performance. Like against a 10-man Chelsea, although they're same back, that was not a good performance. It's because he kept on doing the same thing again and again and again. Like, bro, it hasn't worked. Try something different. And there was just like, he tries to do some rolling things where he just lays it back and the ball's just sitting there and Chelsea make a tackle. Play with discipline. He needs to play with discipline now, man. Like, he's going down the wing and all that, yeah. And like, he gets past them, fair enough. But where do you go after that? He either takes it out for a corner or he just runs it and then Mendy collects it. I think he said that last season was one of his worst seasons. He openly admitted that. Fair enough, yeah. But I think he said that fans have a big effect on me. So it's 3 games in. Although you did get a goal, you don't look that convincing, even with fans. I don't know, has long-term COVID really affected them that much? We don't know what's happening. We really don't know what's in Sadio Mane's head. We don't know what's happening with him. I'm not going to overreact because I'm not the type of person to overreact because we know what a player he is with his class and with his ability. But right now, I'm not seeing it. And I'm getting disappointed because he's one of my favorite players because he had that killer instinct where he'd be able to turn a small thing into something big. And that's what we were missing on Saturday. And that's what he does. And he weren't doing that. So I was disappointed. And I think, and of course, we're going to discuss it in tomorrow's video, but I think signings are needed for this attacking options, especially now Bobby's injured. But yeah, man, I'm going to give him a 4.5.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And obviously, we'll move on to Roberto Firmino. He did start, got replaced during the 40th minute for a hamstring injury. We will obviously discuss the extent of that in tomorrow's video, like Salah mentioned there, and whether or not we should dip our pockets in this late into the transfer market once again. We have seen it once, and we might see it again. But obviously, Firmino, what are your overall thoughts? I thought Firmino on and off the ball for the time that he was on the pitch, I think was worthy of an 8 out of 10. I think for that first half hour that he was on that football pitch, I think he was one of the best players on there because of his off the ball work. And yeah, I mean, it's about time Firmino starts getting credited for his off the ball work. But yeah, I think he was worthy for his standards. I think an 8 out of 10 is probably fair enough. But what are your thoughts on Firmino yesterday?
To be honest, I don't think it's fair if I give him a rating because as soon as I started watching, when I was watching, he only played 3 more minutes and then he went off. So I think
Yeah.
it's not best for me to give a rating. So I'm just going to go with what you said. I think all I know is that he was good in his press, keeping Jorginho quiet, but it's not going to be fair for me to give a rating. So I'm just going to leave it as NA.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Obviously, we'll move on to the final player of this player ratings, Mohamed Salah, the goal scorer. Look, Mo Salah's 1 goal away from 100 Premier League goals for both Chelsea and Liverpool, and he got his 99th goal against Chelsea. And I think what a good penalty was, well taken. Mo Salah does his job on a weekly basis, and we can't slander him. I think it's fair to say that he probably gets an 8.5 out of 10. But what are your thoughts on Mo Salah before we wrap up?
I think he's excellent. He's great. He's a sexy man. He's a sexy man. That guy is absolutely great, man. Like, this is FSG don't give him 350k a week. Just get that contract. Give him whatever he wants. Just let him sign it. I don't know what fuss is going on behind the scenes. Because tell him, from what you've done until you came into the club until now, write down how many figures you want. I don't even care if it's 7 figures. Give him the contract, because that guy is so important to this club. He is so important. Like last season, I don't know where we would have been without him last season, and now he's proving it again. He's my 5-season wonder. Yeah, for all of you lot saying, "Oh, 1-season wonder," he's my 5-season wonder. He's absolutely great. I think, even though yesterday he scored a pen, a lot of people say he didn't contribute a lot. I think in terms of link-up play, I think he was very good in link-up play with Harvey Elliot. I think he was good. Him and Harvey did create a few chances. That's one link-up I'm very intrigued to see in the coming months. Harvey Elliot and Mohamed Salah. I think they have a little bromance going on between. I think every time on Instagram, Harvey admires Salah, calls him king and all that. And I think it pretty much exemplified that in the game, because them two have very, very good chemistry on and off the ball. So I'm going to give Salah an 8.5 as well. I agree with you.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And obviously, let us know in the comments down below.
How about Klopp? Not gonna lie, I'm gonna give Klopp around a 6.5. I'm gonna give him a 6.5, 6. Because I think, number one, I don't think he should have tried the 4-2-3-1. Number two, his in-game management. This game wasn't that good. I think Keita should have started. And then what pissed me off was he brought on Thiago so late that he should have brought on Thiago near the 60th minute. I think 10 minutes after the second half, when we were absolutely bullying them, he should have brought on Thiago, because the amount of space that would have been there for him to exploit would have been absolutely mesmerizing, because he would have just found a pass in behind, we could have scored. Because the amount of space, because Chelsea would capitulate in the first opening 20 minutes. It was after the 20 minutes where they settled down, and that's when they played the defensive football, and that's when we brought on Thiago. There was no point of bringing on Thiago then. If Klopp had the balls, Klopp would have brought on Thiago 50th minute or 60th minute, and we would have probably scored, or we would have got a lot more chances. But again, this is the guy who's brought us success, so you can't really complain too much. But I'm going to give him a 6.5.
Yeah, I think a 6.5 is probably fair enough. I think he made some mistakes, like you mentioned there, in who he could have started. His man management, I think, wasn't to a T yesterday. I think he could have brought on players a little bit earlier. I think we mentioned Thiago in the instant match reaction, which will be coming to you on the channel very soon. But without further ado, that is a wrap for today's content. Liverpool draw, Chelsea 1-1. Obviously, the next game is Leeds now, I believe, away at Ellen Road, so it'll be a very difficult game.
Tough game.
It's going to be a very tough game with fans indeed. But
the Leeds haven't won a game yet in the Premier League season.
So yeah. It makes it a big game. It makes it a very, very big game. It's a very big game on paper. Let's see how it unfolds. But smash a like if you enjoyed the video. Smash a subscribe. Smash the notification bell.